My name's Dr. Rodgers Lubilo. I'm the chairperson for the Zambia Community-Based Natural Resources Management Forum. Also, I'm a chairperson for Community Leaders Network of Southern Africa. CLN, in short, is an organization that has been set up to represent the interest of rural communities in Southern Africa. It is meant to amplify the community voices, to build a collective effort in promoting CBNRM in our countries. So CBNRM stands for Community-Based Natural Resources Management, which is a program that encourages the states or our governments to devolve some rights to the people who live with these natural resources, to be able to manage them, to protect them, and to generate benefits from them. Community conservation is a process where communities are involved in the day-to-day management, protection, organization of the natural resources. In different places of Southern Africa, there are structures that have been set up. For instance, in Namibia, there are communal conservancies that are organized. They have management committees, they have constitutions, they have game management plans. In Zambia, we have community resources boards. In Mozambique, we have natural resources trust. In Botswana, we have community conservation trust. All these community-based organizations that are involved in the management of natural resources are part of the structures, and we implement community conservation through these structures. Of course, each of the different governments in the region, they have put legislation and policies that encourage the participation of the local communities in natural resources management. This campaign is about CLN and its membership to communicate our opposition to the emerging legislation in the UK government and other countries in Europe and elsewhere in the world, which are aimed at limiting or banning the importation of trophies into their countries. What it basically means is that if they ban their citizens who come to hunt in Africa to transport the trophies from these animals, indirectly what they are doing is banning hunting. And that's what affects us, and that's what concerns us. So this campaign is about CLN to raise awareness, to talk, to engage to these various governments about the dangers of these bills or legislation that they hope to put in place, because we see these bills or these laws as being against our own rights, against our commitment to continue to protect our natural resources, especially wildlife. This campaign is actually founded on our opinion about rights. You see, our people, our communities, they are born in areas where there are these natural resources, and they've got the legitimate right, birthright, over its use, over its management, over its decisions. So we actually see that these laws, of course, they are attempting to undermine these rights. But I'm also excited and convinced that we support the position that has been taken by the African Union, especially in the human rights resolution that actually calls on member states to protect and put community interest and rights at the forefront of all conservation issues. So we believe that we should then encourage our colleagues, other governments out there in Europe to respect that position of African Union, because that position is actually fulfilling our desires as communities, because we need our rights to be protected. So our friends who are in a position of passing laws that undermine our rights, we are saying no to that. We are calling on them to engage us, to dialogue with us, to listen to us. Yeah, so trophy hunting, which is a part of conservation hunting, is practiced in many communities in Southern Africa. And I'll give a typical example. So what happens is either you are sitting in a conservancy, or you are sitting in a game management area or communal land. the respective government departments responsible for wildlife will sit together with the communities to look at the wildlife numbers that are in a particular area. Many of these areas have been demarcated into hunting blocks. And so we are able to estimate the population of wildlife, the huntable species, and then quotas are set. Once these quotas are set, they are then given to the respective hunting outfitters who have been given the concessions with our communities and governments to hunt regulated species in those areas. And then once they market this, to different clients, especially many of these clients come from Europe, Russia, Belgium, United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, America, and other countries in Africa, especially South Africa. And I think they are doing it as part of the sport, as a leisure to them. But in return, usually, for instance, they'll hunt a buffalo and they'll be interested in getting their horns. They'll leave the meat with the people. The people share the meat. They'll pay for the fee, and that money comes to the communities, which is also shared in different countries, is shared with communities. But then the clients who come to hunt, they need to transport their trophy back to their countries. And so that's how trophy hunting is organized. What we see is that when there are these laws in these different countries, the destination countries where this trophy needs to go with the clients, they are being prohibited. It means that those people can't come to Africa, can't come to hunt. It means they won't be able to pay. And then as communities will lose their much needed revenue. And what we also see, trophy hunting contributes to good sustainable conservation management, because we are able to manage wildlife populations through the process of regulated hunting. Some of the animals that are shot are those that could be causing problems, such as human animal conflicts. We see trophy hunting as a mechanism that actually helps us scientifically, social and political and economically to manage the resources adequately. Like I did mention that sustainable conservation hunting, which is trophy hunting, provides multiple benefits. To give the specific clear examples of where I'll talk about my country, Zambia, where I come from. I come from one of the communities where trophy hunting has contributed to improving everything. So in my community where I come from, we employ our community scouts. Like right now, as I speak in Zambia, we have more than 1,200 community scouts whose salary is solely dependent on the revenues that come from trophy hunting. So when you look at a population of 1,200 scouts who get paid every month with an average household of about 6 people, we are already talking about more than 6,000 people that get direct benefit from revenues that come from hunting. We also use money from hunting to build schools, to build clinics, to put water points, to support orphans, to support funerals, to provide scholarships. In many places, we've built schools, teachers' houses, transports, and above all, trophy hunting also, promotes cultural exchange. It promotes tourism in these areas. It helps to build capacities. People have been trained, they've been taken to school, to colleges. There is awareness, there's capacity development. So without these revenues from trophy hunting, we wouldn't be able to do all these development, social developments, conservation developments that is taking place in these communities. We have communities where it's a major source of income is trophy hunting. In many places, we have about 80 community resources boards in the country, which is covering almost 30% of Zambia's landscape, which actually rely on revenues from trophy hunting. In Tanzania, where there are wildlife management areas, they do the same. You go to Mozambique, it's the same. So we see trophy hunting as a means to better the lives of the people. And without it, then poverty will escalate to levels that to threaten the existence of these natural resources. People will be forced to start poaching. People will be forced to start, massive agriculture, which will destroy the habitat for wildlife. which will undermine all the conservation efforts that we have endured over decades in our region. And that's why we will at any time resist any attempts by anybody outside our jurisdiction to undermine our rights and our efforts to protect and manage and benefit from these resources. In many countries, in many communities, including Zambia, Mozambique, Namibia, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, that form part of our network, we see huge impact in terms of conservation programming. One, there will be no resources to pay the scouts. And there will be no resources to pay the scouts, to buy uniforms, to buy rations, there will be no transport. What then it means is that there will be, we are likely to see an influx of illegal activities in these communities. Without robust trophy hunting, we might see a situation where community interest to look after these resources reduces, and thereby threatening or impacting negatively in the whole conservation program in Southern Africa. So trophy hunting is at the center, is the engine, is the nucleus of CBNRM. CBNRM has thrived, has improved, has evolved, has become resilient because trophy hunting has been part and parcel of its core agenda. And of course, we are open to criticism, we are open to comments, we are open to learning, we are open to research. But we believe that whatever decisions we make, we should just be improving how trophy hunting is done as opposed to attempts to ban it. Because when you do that, then you cripple, you damage, you frustrate the CBNRM program in general in Southern Africa. Our position as communities is shared with our governments. Our governments believe in sustainable trophy hunting, in sustainable conservation hunting. They believe in that. And our governments are very worried with the maneuvers of these greater nations to impose these rules, because actually it will create more burden for governments which are already having economic challenges to fill up all the needs. For me and for many of the communities, we see this as a deliberate attempt to either impose some colonial tendencies, to impose decisions on us because they believe we are vulnerable, we are weaker nations, and that we can, will be forced to bow to their dictates, which is quite unfortunate at this stage of the world. We believe that it's an economic aggression, to further perpetuate poverty in our communities. Yes, and because we have presented our facts, we have indicated, we have demonstrated our commitment to look after these iconic resources. We have demonstrated our abilities as communities and governments. Despite all our weak economies, we've demonstrated that we can look after these resources. But we can see that, these European countries, they are still determined at all costs to pass this legislation. So we see that as an attempt to undermine our sovereign rights, to undermine our countries, to undermine our leadership, because they believe that they're stronger than us. They believe that we should continue to bow to them. No, that is the thing of the past. Yes, we need cooperation, we need international relations, we need international dialogue, but I think they should listen to us. We are ready to improve the way we do our business. We are ready to improve on the distribution of benefits to our people. But you see, that does not mean that everything might not be perfect. Even democracy is not perfect, but we still continue to preach and support it. So even CBNRM might have some weaknesses, because trophy hunting might have some weaknesses. But in the end, we still see the bigger good of having trophy hunting as part of our conservation agenda. And I think our friends in the different countries in Europe must understand that, just like they protect their citizens, just like they uphold the rights of their citizens, they should also respect us, because we also need to be respected because of those rights of our resources. We appreciate and understand how our colleagues in the West feel when they see an elephant or a lion or leopard being hunted down. Even us ourselves, we feel it. We understand, but you see, It is part and parcel of our heritage. It is part and parcel of our inheritance. Actually, we used to do this hunting traditionally. There was no commercialization. It used to be part of our life. But of course, the world has evolved over time. We appreciate, we understand their empathy or sympathy, what they feel about it. But they're living in fancy places. They just see the elephants or the lions or the leopards from afar. They don't go through the relationship. Remember, here in Africa, where you find communities, you find wildlife. There's a relationship that we enjoy. We have agreed to share our life with them. And because they are part of and parcel of our lives, there is a system that we have to utilize them. Of course, in doing that business, because we're part of the global world, we are part of the global commons. Therefore, we expect, of course, our colleagues, the sport hunters who are out there in America, in Europe, in Asia, who are interested to promote our efforts. They come through, they buy, and of course, we are concerned if there are any elements of unethical hunting. We have never tolerated unethical hunting. No, we have not. We engage with our governments every time. We engage with our hunters that wherever there is a hunting, it must be ethical. We are not interested in molesting animals. No, no. Of course, we have seen situations where maybe a hunter is maybe portraying himself in a picture, with an animal. So no. We mean well. We are committed to look after these resources. We are committed to make sure that we participate in international comments. We participate in international dialogue. We participate in international engagements that will contribute to the sustainable management of our natural resources for the people, nature, and everybody else, including our communities and the world at large. We know if we keep the elephants safe in Southern Africa, the whole world is better. If we look after our resources well, the whole world is better. But we, the people who live with this, should be given the respect that we deserve, because we have demonstrated our ability to protect and manage these resources in the best way we can.